Hi, everybody. Welcome to your work for June. This is a culminating activity which should bring a lot of different things from the course together into what I hope is an interesting and meaningful culminating project. This is called the CIA World Factbook assignment, and it represents probably close to 8.5 hours worth of work for you. School in June is going to go from about June 1st to June the 19th. This project really can be completed in probably a day if you'd like, or it can be completed over many days. So just as long as it's complete by Friday, June the 19th, I will obviously consider that in your final marks for the course. So the assignment is pretty straightforward with a little bit of some options for you. Essentially, what I'm asking you to do is dig into two really important websites that are geographical. The first one is Wikipedia. It has lots of relevant information. You've heard this before. It's vetted. It has current information. And if it's not accurate information, it usually gets taken down right away. So Wikipedia is good for geography. Another one is the CIA World Factbook assignment. Basically, the Central Intelligence Agency houses all of this, gathers all of this information on various different countries in the world, and they pool it together and place it on this particular website. This is more of an activity that follows in line with demographics and population pyramids, so it kind of makes sense that we would do this after doing the previous task. The actual assignment is kind of bulky in terms of number of pages, but I'll walk you through that in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to speed things up. I'm going to sort of zip through all of the stuff. You're going to obviously read through this, but what's really important today is that you know that you have some choice. As I said before, option A will involve you doing research on 3 different countries that are not Canada and that are not well developed. Option B will involve you doing research on one other country, not Canada, and using my data that I've provided to you and doing a thorough comparison between Canada and that country, and eventually doing a full write-up on it. There's an example of a write-up on the left-hand side if you click Senegal CIA World Sample that you can see at some point later on. There's a to-do list that's shared here. I would read through this carefully, but it shares some of what I've already shared to you. Okay, so we're going to go to the CIA World Factbook, and I'll just kind of help you to navigate this website. So let's pretend that, again, you know you want a country that is ideally in South America or Central America, Africa, or Asia. Avoid places like Australia because they're too well developed and it would be actually more difficult to do the task. So I'm simply going to do the drop-down menu on the left-hand side. I'm going to pick, I don't know, Angola. Angola is in Africa. Angola is definitely, you know, sort of not as well developed as Canada. Hopefully you're picking a country that you don't know much about, and yes, you do need to just shoot me a message beforehand to get approval before you move too far ahead with it. So you can essentially, you know, look at the maps. There's some tabs across the top, but the ones that you're actually going to use are the tabs on the bottom. There's an introduction to Angola, so you would click on the plus button, read through that, write down what you think is important. You would write that and record it in your assignment sheet, which I'll share with you in a couple of minutes. You would continue on with the next tab, which involves mostly the physical geography things. That's where you would gather it all. If, for instance, you didn't know what a certain definition was, you can click on these blue icons and it will provide a definition. Like what, for instance, is an irrigated land or natural hazards, you probably can guess. But yeah, all of the blue icons on the left-hand side help you to sort of get a sense of what you need. Okay, I know I'm moving fast, but certainly pause the video as you would like, and you can kind of go through it. The people in society, mostly this is going to be your human geographical characteristics. So things like languages that are spoken there, religions, population pyramid, life expectancy, that kind of stuff will show up on that particular tab. Again, if you're not really too sure what something is, you can certainly hover your mouse over top of the blue icon and it'll give you more details on it. Okay, so that's how you use this site. Again, I would suggest that you minimize those tabs anytime you are working with it, just to sort of reduce the amount of clutter. Almost everything that you need is going to be on this website in some of those tabs. Okay? If you need a different website, for instance, you will want to know a little bit about the Human Development Index. You're going to go to Wikipedia. So simply type out Human Development Index and country, whatever the country is that you decided to pick. Your Human Development Index is essentially, it's like almost like a master rating system of countries. Most people agree that it's probably the single best indicator of how good a country is or how not so good a country is. It factors in the health of the nation. It factors in the wealth of the nation in terms of how much money they have, and it also factors in the education within that nation. So you can see from the map on the right-hand side, there's different colors. Darker is going to be a higher score. This is a score above decimal 900, which essentially is like out of 100%, that's pretty darn good, right? Whereas your reds would have a very poor rating. So they would have a poor health care system, a poor education system, and essentially they would not have a lot of money in their country to do the things that they need to do to take care of their citizens. So in a nutshell, that is the Human Development Index. Remember that when you're on Wikipedia, you can usually do a quick search of countries as well. So I'm just going to do that quickly. Command F on a Mac, and I could do Angola. Angola doesn't show up, but Canada does. So it highlights it and brings it. If a country, and you're picking poorer countries, if a country doesn't show up, then you can obviously Google what is their current HDI. Okay, I'm going to move on to another one. Education Index is another one on Wikipedia that you will want to get to know. If you can, typically it ranks all the countries, it gives them a score similar to the HDI index. There's an education index. It gives you a score out of 1.0. That's perfect. The number one rated country in 2015 for their education was actually Australia. So you know that they're first, that's awesome. And you know that some countries, like Niger, 0.26, they don't have a very good education system. You can assume that they wouldn't have a good economy, they would have a high death rate, they would have a very low life expectancy. They probably have lots of challenges, obviously, because their education is not as good. Definitely they'd have a high fertility rate. So you can search through these again, as I said before, Command F. I think we were talking about Angola. There's Angola. They're ranked 147th out of roughly 200 countries. I say roughly 200 countries. There's actually a little bit more than 200, but remember that not every country is going to have data that can be recorded here. So, for instance, North Korea probably doesn't exist on this, and some other smaller countries might not exist. So, okay. So let me dig into the actual assignment now with you, so that I've kind of made the website available. I've kind of given you a sense that there are some options. Here's the actual assignment. I'm just going to zoom into it. Again, you can read through it at your leisure. I want everybody to really carefully read through the data that I've provided from the CIA World Factbook and from Wikipedia for Canada. Some of this you already know. It came up earlier in the course, and some of it obviously is going to be a little bit new for you. So you'll read through this very carefully, and you're basically going to replicate it. You're going to try to get the same information or similar detailed information for other countries. You also do need to capture a population pyramid at some point, so you can do that. So from page 5 to page 9, you either print this and then fill it out by hand and then take a picture of it and send it back to me, or you simply highlight page 5 to page 9. If you end up doing option A, which involves you researching 3 countries, then simply copy it and paste it so that you can have a little bit of a longer report. Obviously, if you're going to edit this online, simply get rid of the lines and type in your actual answer in a different font. Okay? Again, I don't want to dig into this too much, but when you read the Canada data, it'll make a lot more sense. I just want to stress page 9 for you. The task obviously asks you for physical information about the country, then it asks you for human information or human geography information, and then it asks you to consider what life would be like for a teenager. So I want you to think about that. This is you applying what you're learning from that particular research that you're doing. As a 14-year-old male living in Canada, what is life like for you? What might it be like living in a place like Cameroon or Angola or whatever those other countries are that you opt to select? So there's not a lot of space written here, and of course I would recommend that you keep in mind format will not matter very much when you go to submit this thing in. Just simply type it in, and it might look a little bit wonky, but as long as you capture the information, that's the most important part. So yeah. So as I said, option A, more research. Option B, less research, but a write-up included. And I'm going to very quickly show you what the write-up will look like. I'd love it if everybody had a chance to sort of just take a peek at it. So this is the CIA sample write-up for Senegal. Again, option B only. Basically, you would follow the same headings that are shared and replicate almost to a T what I've done through this sample. And it's about a 5 or 6 page write-up. So it's not too scary, obviously, but I think that B might be a little bit more work than option A. There is a marking scheme, and I'm going to jump right to it. It is about page 11 and 12. So it's modified based on which option that you pick. If you do the research, then you're going to have research for 3 countries. So your assignment would basically be out of 30. If you do option B, you're going to do research for 1 country, and then you're going to do the write-up so you can see clearly that it's out of 25. Okay? All right. If you're like me, I would want to get going on it sooner rather than later. If you want to finish it June 3rd and be done, then have at it. I think it's a really cool activity. I think that it will allow you to bring a lot of cool stuff that you already know into the assignment, and you're going to learn some cool stuff about new countries, hopefully, that you've not had an opportunity to deal with before. Okay, if you have questions, of course, fire them at me. I am always going to be checking, and I'm really excited to kind of have you get your hands on this assignment. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.